Hello.
Hi. Welcome to... I'm so used to saying welcome to Warhammer Live. That's not what we're doing.
No, it's not.
It's not.
It's even more exciting.
Yeah, welcome to Facebook Live and welcome to Warhammer World. I'm Rob.
And I'm Eddie.
And we're here to talk about some really exciting stuff.
Yeah, and introduce two very special guests.
Yeah, so that's basically why we're here. We're the hype men. We're the LeFou. That's what we're doing.
We're driving the hype train towards the 31st millennium.
That's all right. No, we know you guys are really excited and you've got lots of questions and lots of things you want to talk about, and that's why we're here, and that's pretty incredible. Do you want to tell me exactly why we're here, Eddie?
Absolutely. So today we've got two really special guests with us. We have Pete Foley, who is the head of the team behind the new edition of Warhammer 40,000. He's the guy who runs the studio that created the new games, the new setting, the new rules, all that sort of stuff. And he's here to answer all the questions you guys have been sending in on Facebook over the last couple of days. And also, if you're watching live, if you type your question in the comments below, we're going to get a chance to answer some live questions as well. So if you've got
do a lot of love hearts.
A lot of love hearts, You get an option to press the little love heart.
Yeah, do the love heart on the thumb. The smiley face is particularly good.
And then there's a Corn Berserker face as well, but you don't have to press that one if you don't want to.
No one wants that.
No one wants the Corn Berserker
And Pete's
face.
awesome. So the fact you guys get to talk to Pete's brilliant, and Pete basically decides everything that's going to happen.
Yeah, he's super important, much more important than we are, which is why he gets an introduction team.
Yeah, he gets an introduction crew.
We don't get an introduction crew.
No, we're just us. It's just Eddie, Rob. And then also joining Pete is going to be...
Yeah, so we've got Andy Smiley here as well. So he's from the Warhammer community team, like we are. He's our boss, and he's led a lot of the community involvement in the new edition of the game. So one of the really cool things about the new Warhammer 40,000 is how the community has driven the involvement of it, how they've helped to improve the game as a whole.
Not you.
It's
how you have helped.
So if you sent in questions for the FAQ last year, if you had any input into those, then you've been part of what's made the new edition.
And I think it's fair to say that the new edition of Warhammer 40,000 is directly to benefit you guys.
Yeah, it's for you.
Yeah, it's for you. So when we're talking about community driven, it's literally because of you that you get an exciting new way to play Warhammer, which is pretty brilliant.
Cool.
And before we introduce the guys, how cool is this background?
Yeah, look at this guy.
Yeah, that's good, right? Yeah.
Bluey on this side, greeny on that side. I don't know what that's previewing, but it's pretty cool anyway.
So if you somehow missed it, Warhammer TV Dan, our live stream specialist, he's going to bring you the amazing Warhammer 40,000 trailer, which you're going to see in a minute.
It's going to give you goosebumps.
Yeah, and then you're going to get to talk to Pete and Andy, and this is going to be an exciting time for you guys. So make sure you tell everyone, go on Twitter, go on Facebook, give it a share, let everyone in the world know that this is where it's at right now. Yeah. So
you're going to tell your grandchildren about this.
Eddie, thanks very much, and you guys, thank you very much. Thank you for always being awesome. Here's the new Warhammer 40,000 trailer.
Will be dust in my hand.
I have faith.
The Fenris system burns. The void around the wolves'
praying
world
for an afterlife of cold, joyless century. We steal life and dreams.
To an empire starved. Those of Lehman Russ will face a legion
10 millennia ago, I was set a task. one abandoned when the galaxy of a million corpses, nor a bastion built from the ashes of a billion worlds will hold back
Long
future
ago.
armies.
A world
We dance the galaxy
It will
with the
burn,
bird,
it will be cleansed, purified.
We shall
ready.
see
The heavens
to the
will
birth
deliver
of a
our
god.
reward.
The jewel of the...
Hi,
I'm Andy from the Warhammer community team,
and I'm Pete from the design studio.
and we're going to answer as many of your Warhammer 40,000 questions as possible.
Excellent.
So we've had a lot of questions from you guys over the weekend, so thanks for that. We've taken a bunch of those that we're going to try and answer, and then we're going to pick some live as we go. We've broke the questions up into some broad categories, such as the format of the new rules, so the gameplay, the games design section, and as we go through each section, we'll start taking some live questions around that topic.
Sounds great.
Good. So let's go. So a question we were asked a lot, so there's no particular name attributed to this, was at Adepticon you revealed that you were working with a couple of concepts such as changed movement, armour modifiers, charge and morale tests. Could you confirm if these concepts will be in the new edition?
So I guess we let the cat out of the bag at Adepticon a bit early. Yes, absolutely. Those were all new concepts for the new 40k. We're going to bring the movement value back. We're resetting the stat line a little bit to look a little bit more old school like that. So that's going to be super exciting. Again, we're going to add armor modifiers to all the guns. Charges, we've got some a new way of doing charges where if you charge, then you strike first. But we've got some other details on that we can go into a little bit later.
So we'll come back to that one.
And then morale tests working as we said at Adepticon. So I guess if you don't know what we said, either go back and look at it.
Yeah, you can. There's an article on the Warhammer community site which has all of the stuff from Adepticon on there, so you guys can go and read it.
Good.
Great. Again, this was a question that came up a lot in various different guises. Can you tell us anything specific about the new rules and how they work, specifically with regards to vehicles and armour values?
Okay, so this is a big change. So vehicles don't have armour values anymore. In fact, every model uses the same stat line.
That's the same.
So that's a big change. But we're aware that especially really big tanks and things like that, the more you wound them, they shouldn't stay as powerful. So all the vehicles have a damage table, and as they take wounds, their stats will decrease. And it's different for every model, because that's one of the really exciting things we've got in the new 40k is bespoke rules for every model. And so depending on if it's good in combat, its attacks might decrease. If it's got loads of guns, its strength or its ballistic skill might start dropping. So they're all tailored to each individual tank or vehicle. And as its wounds come down, the appropriate stats will decrease as well until obviously it's destroyed.
Cool. I think from the playtest games that I was involved in, it always made for a really great narrative. This kind of like battered, beleaguered tank,
trying to get across the board, and finally its last wound, or if it gets there with one wound left and it's still going, it's not shooting anybody anymore because it's down to ballistic skill 1, so it's shooting all around. But yeah, so it's really exciting. Keeps vehicles really exciting all the way through the game. They don't pop in turn 1 with a lucky shot. And the other thing is, of course, now the way that strength and toughness works with vehicles is that everybody can hurt everybody else in the game. So it's not there's no I've got this gun, it can't possibly hurt that vehicle anymore. The way that the strength and toughness stats work, that everyone can hurt everyone else, it just becomes harder. But yeah, cool. So very exciting.
Okay, this one came from Shane Coates. Will each army keep its current playstyle?
So yes. We've tried to reflect all the current armies' playstyles as much as we can. But one of the really great things about being able to reset the rules is that where we think there are missed opportunities and things like that, or we could make those armies play to their archetypes even more, we've been able to do it right from the ground up, which is very exciting. So hopefully people will see that when they start to see the new rules for all the different factions. And
I think we mentioned briefly that in terms of the charge phase and how that was going to work, we had some more to say on that later. And I think how each army works, we've got some more stuff on that later as well.
Yes, yeah. Absolutely. Great.
There's a couple of questions coming in live from Justin Solly. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that right. How will 8th edition affect the Horus Heresy games? That is on our list to answer later, so we'll definitely come back to that. Very quickly to Matthew Crowther, is the game still a D6 system? Yes, it is. Everything else that's come up so far, I think we've got on our list. So I'll keep moving on. From Matthew Jolly, how long does an average game take? For example, compared to say 1,500 points in the current edition.
Yeah, so I think it was one of the reasons why we wanted to kind of reset the rules a little bit was how long a game of Warhammer 40,000 was taking. We were over at Adepticon playing in the team championships, and I think the games were 3.5 hours per round. So now a 1,500 point game, we're looking at 90 minutes. Okay. Certainly in 2 hours you're going to be playing the full game now. So hopefully that's going to be a lot better, a lot more a lot more manageable time period.
Cool. From Bentley Hunter, will there be support for narrative play, making it easier to create campaigns and connect to 40k offshoots like Shadow War?
Absolutely. Again, the new version is built with the 3 ways to play in mind, so open play, narrative play and match play. And we've got loads of great stuff for narrative play coming up. Different campaigns, different war zones, different ways of reflecting the worlds of the 40k galaxy, different ways of fighting. All those supplements and things like that we've got, like Planet Strike, City Fight, and things, they're all going to have a home in the new 40k too. So we'll be looking to invest in all those archetypes in the future.
Great. From Scott Agnew, will any models, both miniatures and scenery, not receive rules in the new edition?
So that's a pretty easy answer. No, they're all going to be there.
So every model, be it
scenery
or an infantryman or a monster or a vehicle, they will all have rules.
It's all in.
Martin Neal asks, what more can you tell us about command points?
So should we go into that a bit?
Yeah, okay. So I think...
so we've got a prop?
Yeah, just before we use Pete's prop, so the thing that we talked about with Chargers fighting first and armies playing to their playstyle, One of the mechanisms that we're bringing in to 8th edition to help make the charging thing much more tactical and also help reflect not only your army selection but how your army plays is definitely command points.
That's right. So in both narrative play and in match play, your army has to be battle forged, which means that it has to conform to something people who play 40k right now will know all about, which is the force-org chart. But one of the big changes we've made, and we're going to have a little reveal of some content here. I'm going to try and do it in front of the screen with this extraordinarily flashy
if you want to talk,
page.
then I'm going to hold it for you.
Is that one of the things we've got is that there is not just one force-org chart in the book, and there's not just the 3 that we're showing you. There's actually 14 all in.
So I'm going to leave that there for another second. You guys can screen capture it or blow it up later. We will put this on the community site later in the week, so you'll get a better version in terms of resolution. And what you've got with if you fulfill that detachment is you generate a number of command points, depending on how big or how complicated the detachment is to fulfill, or depending on how many command points you generate. Now, those command points can be used for some things that are in the core rulebook. So one of them is you can re-roll a dice. One of them is that in the combat phase you can interrupt the charges going first thing. So if Andy were playing, you charge me. One of your units fights, but before your next charging unit fights, I can spend a command point and I can interrupt that sequence, and I can fight with one of my units. So it means that command points are super valuable. They're going to be really tactical to play with, because when do you use them? You only get a certain amount. Once they're gone, they're gone. But it does mean that if you're waiting for a big wave of combat heavy army about to charge into your lines, you can interrupt that big sequence and make sure that you get your hits in before your army gets destroyed, which could really swing a battle. So that's one thing. That's going to be in there. Those generic command point things are going to be in the book. But then as we do codexes in the future... So just before we move on then, lots of people have asked, are codexes going away? Absolutely not. We will have codexes in the new edition. There'll obviously be updated new codexes, but the format of a book for your army with all of its in-depth rules, hobby guides, background narrative, great art, all of that stuff, we'll definitely still have that range of books.
That's right. And then another thing that they're going to have is a whole suite of different things that you can spend your command points on in there that will be driven thematically by the way that your army fights. So if your Space Marines will be super tactical, if your Orcs will be super choppy, just loads of them. And there's a lot of different ones in there that not only reflect the big army, so the Space Marines army, but also reflect the different flavours of Space Marine army that you might have choose to tailor your army around.
Yeah.
There we go. So it's going to be very exciting. It's a very cool bit.
And I think the other thing, which obviously Pete alluded to, is those force organisation charts. There are lots of them in the new edition.
That's right.
It's almost impossible to put an army together that doesn't fit within one of them somehow.
That's right.
So regardless of what you've got in your collection, or what formations you've currently collected, or how you've themed it, we're pretty confident that for matched play,
and definitely for narrative,
you can use that collection in the way that you want to.
That's right.
Oh, Rob's a star. He's bringing us some water. Thanks, Rob.
Hey all.
Okay, just grab a few more questions.
Thanks, Rob.
Matthew Wilkinson asks, are templates going away?
So yes, they are.
Yep.
And I think that's the simple answer is we're going to move to a template-free system for Warhammer 40,000 in the future.
Great. Kelly Wallace asks, are the rules written in Andy's accent? Yes, we've used a lot of colloquial language.
So they will be available in French, German, Spanish, Italian and Scots from launch.
Command points will be exploited, says Adam Poultney. Are there any limits?
Yes, there are. You can only use one per phase.
So one per phase, and you're also limited by how you've chosen your army. So certain force organisations allow you more command points, and some allow you less. So I think what command points do really nicely is allow you to take a super thematic army and then give it a bit more power and a bit more punch with command points. Or you can go the other way and take
whatever you want
in your army.
You don't get any access to it.
You get slightly less command points. They're a really good leveler that I think, certainly in all the games that we played, meant that pretty much any army is viable.
That's right, yeah.
Which brings it to the question, I don't have a name to attribute this to, so I'll assume a bunch of people have asked it. Has the new edition been beta tested? I think
yes,
a lot. There were some guys who we owe a lot of thanks to in the US that done a lot of playtesting for us. There was Reese and Frankie from Frontline Gaming. There was Hank
and all of the Adepticon team.
Chris, Greg, and Adam and a bunch of other guys from Adepticon. A lot of those guys helped out, and then there was Mike and some of the guys from Nova. So all the big event organisers, guys that have travelled the world playing 40k and played a lot of 40k, they really helped us playtest this game. They playtested every single unit from every codex,
single one,
and the core rules, and that married with the what our internal playtesting. It's probably the most thoroughly we've ever playtested a game.
It is by miles,
and we owe those guys a huge debt of thanks, because I think marriages were strained.
I'm sure. Yeah,
sleep was short. And their phone bills were large. So.
Yeah, but the feedback they gave us was comprehensive, and we're really proud of what those guys have helped us achieve.
So thanks to all you guys, and apologies to anyone that we didn't directly name check.
Yeah.
So we got. Okay, so the next section we've got is around the format of the rules. Could you give us a quick rundown on how we're going to be getting new rules for our troops? Will I have to wait for a new codex, a new orc codex, before I can start playing? I think orcs are given the example. There was a lot of. It's been a while since the orcs have had a new codex. For me, I think we've got a really awesome answer to this: is that everyone will get their new rules day one.
That is correct.
So on launch, we will have a series of 5 books. And within each of those books will be the rules for all the miniatures. So there's Space Marines are split across the Force of the Imperium are in a book. There's a book with a couple of Xenos armies in it. So I'd imagine for most people you'll have to pick up one of those books. They're a very low price point, certainly much lower than codexes. And you get all the rules in that book that you need to play with your army. So imagine the rules section from a codex, but inside that book. So from day one, you will have everything you need to build a list, to use all your stuff, and we've rebalanced all the points for them and made sure that we've play tested it all. So this is so you get them all day one, and when your codex comes out, obviously you'll get some updated narrative and some new art and all that extra stuff, and the thing Pete talked about, where we'll put in some extra things about how you can use your command points and make it a bit more thematic.
Yeah, things like the equivalents of chapter tactics and army special rules will be expanded upon as we get into the codex. But definitely what you said is true. When you on launch, everything you need to play is there.
And that was really important to us. We wanted to make it really easy for people to just get going from the get-go, and not have to buy a ton of books. And so, there'll be a book that you need to pick up at day one that will have everything in it and get you playing with an exciting, refreshed army. Just scrolling down. Brad Watson would like to know, is that really water? I hope not. Casey Rusher has asked, will expansions like Cities of Death still be part of the game?
So absolutely, yes. So definitely as a big part of the narrative side of the game will be things like Cities of Death and Planet Strike and those types of those supplements that we've done before. We'll be looking to bring them up to speed and move them into the new game as well. And loads more. We've already got a whole bunch of different ideas for different narrative supplements that we can add into the game. So absolutely yes.
Great. Will broken units like Riptides be taken down in points from Susan Summers? I think every unit in the game has been, as we said, play tested
rigorously.
Yeah.
So I think on launch, this is going to be the most robust and the most balanced version of Warhammer 40,000 that we've ever had. I can pretty confidently say that, having seen the swathes of feedback that we've gone through.
Yeah. I mean, just to give you some idea, the guys in the US that were playtesting for us, on a Sunday, would spend 8 to 10 hours generating feedback from that week's playtesting.
Yeah.
It's been very, very rigorously playtested.
So hopefully there won't be any broken units like Riptides. So.
So another question: will the matched play section of the 3 ways to play be updated regularly?
And again, that's the other cool bit about 40k is that absolutely we will. One of the best things we've had from Age of Sigmar is the General's Handbook and the community engagement that we've had for helping us make that game better and better. And we're planning to do exactly the same thing with Warhammer 40,000. We'll have a similar type book that will come out annually, and we'll be engaging the community on points values, on the match play rules, but also on the narrative play rules. We've had a lot of fun talking to the narrative guys for Age of Sigmar recently, and coming up with some great ideas for that. We'll be doing all the same stuff for 40k.
And for those of you that caught the presentation at Adepticon, one of the things we announced was an interactive forum, for lack of a better word, where all of you, not just the guys that we've named helping us playtest, can feed back on rules, FAQs, points for things. So we really want this the game to evolve in that sense with you guys' help. How will the free rules be presented? Will they be digital only?
So they'll definitely be digital, and then all of our stores and some independent stockists will have a limited supply of printed versions on launch, so you should be able to get one. But the core rules will also be presented in lots of different places as well, in lots of different books and things like that.
Great. Will we be seeing codexes return in a similar format? We covered that one. We certainly will.
Yes.
Brian Caraway asks, will there be an app for Warhammer 40,000 with an army builder similar to the awesome Age of Sigmar app? So first off, I'm glad you like the Age of Sigmar app. We are working on a Warhammer 40,000 app. It won't be around on launch, but shortly thereafter. And we'll tell you more about that on the community site slightly nearer the time. Michael asks, will we see a specific set of tournament rules?
So we haven't done a specific tournament rules as part of match play, but there are some guidelines to help tournament organisers run competitive events as part of the match play rules. So hopefully that will give a lot more guidance, certainly from Games Workshop to tournament organisers to help put together a rules pack. But no, we don't have a specific tournament pack in the core rules. Just some guidance to help people do it, some recommendations.
Cool. And again, tournaments is something we're talking to a lot of tournament and event organisers, big and small, and trying to look at how we can help them going forward to make events easier to run, to make them more standard in terms of what you can expect when you turn up to an event, and if they are going to be different, helping communicate that out. So I think there's an exciting future ahead for events generally.
I think so.
It seems like the game is being reset. Does that mean you'll be able to make underused units more powerful and perhaps tone down some of the more seemingly overpowered units? I think there are a lot of questions. Similar to this, the one about the Riptides before. Brett Rooker's just asked, will Pyrovores be any good? And I think it's sort of the same answer, that everything is now a legitimate choice.
That's certainly what we were aiming for, and with all the work that the guys have done, with all the work that the team who work under me have done, I think it's going to be our best attempt yet. So I certainly hope so.
You're going to launch new rules for every current model? Yes, we are. That's a huge amount of rules and a huge amount of work. How can we be confident you've had enough time to really do a proper job with this?
Wow. We've spent a long time doing it. It's been a long time in development. The people that we engaged to to come and help us do this. We engaged them a long time ago now. And I think the thing is, if we weren't happy with what we'd done, we wouldn't be putting it out. So I think we're really pleased with it. We're really confident that it's going to be great. So I guess you're going to have to trust us.
Stan McKim asks, what were or are the top 3 goals of the design team for this edition?
Oof, that's a tough one. We had lots of different ones, so to try and think of what the top 3 were. So I guess one of the things that we really wanted to achieve was to make a game that worked for all 3 ways to play. That was probably the underpinning one that we wanted. We really wanted 40k to work for you if what your drive is to tell different stories, is to recreate the background, is to collect wonderfully narrative armies and then have a really fun way of playing games with them. We also wanted this time to make sure that if what you're into is that more competitive aspect, that the game system would hold up to that. And last of all, we wanted to make it much more accessible. So that's what we've really tried to do. We think we've achieved that. You guys will be the proof of that as it comes out. But that was, I know that's kind of put 3 into 1 and cheating a bit. But that was definitely the kind of baseline of what we wanted to achieve with the game system. We can talk a bit about the background, from where we spent a lot of time talking about the rules. So with the background of things, we really wanted to push back to the forefront the fight between the Imperium and Chaos. Chaos has definitely slipped in the background to being a little bit more of a backseat player in the 40k galaxy, and that's not their rightful place at all. We really wanted them to be at the forefront. The big threat to the galaxy is Chaos, and I think you'll see that start to come through a lot more over the next couple of years. And then really that accessibility thing for the rules was the same for all the parts of the hobby that we wanted to try and make sure was there. You know, whether it's painting miniatures or armies, playing games, getting into the background, just being able to get into the 40k hobby in any way. That was one of the things we wanted to make more accessible across the board. So hopefully we've done it.
I think the current edition's been around, 7th edition's around for how long?
About 2 and a bit years.
Yeah.
2 years.
And over that time, we've had a lot of feedback from people that go to events, people don't, people that play in their bedrooms, people that play in stores, people who like particular aspects of the game and didn't like other aspects of the game. And I think this edition, it's fair to say, we tried really hard to make it the game that you asked for and incorporate as much of that feedback as we possibly could. That's right. We are inundated with feedback a lot, especially through things like the social media channels, plus our own accounts, and we listen. We're trying to listen, and we're trying to make sure that everything we do is ticking the boxes that people are telling us need ticked. Because ultimately, to the question of playtesting, you guys out there play thousands of games, tens of thousands of games. So we get great feedback from you guys. You play a lot of games, and I think certainly over the last 18 months, 2 years, we are trying very hard to give you places to give us that feedback, and to incorporate that into the stuff that we make. Rohan asks, which parts of the community did you approach in the design of the game? I think we touched on that already. A lot of clubs and tournament organisers and other people we knew in the community that had given us lots of feedback before.
Plus, it's also just listening on different forums across the social media channels, just looking into what people are saying about the game, what they're enjoying, what they're not enjoying. It's a really easy way to get some quick feedback on how things are going.
We're back.
We're back again. Is just to have a sounding board like that you get from the internet. Fortunately, we've also got 400 stores with a guy in them who's listening to his community and feeding back to us through that way as well. So,
and we're all hobbyists as well. We play a lot of 40k. We go to events as players. We listen to podcasts. So we get a lot of feedback from one source or another.
That's right.
So this question's asked loads. When is the new edition being released? Prepare to hate my answer. This year. So we will have more news on that very, very soon. Just not today. Will we be seeing more at Warhammer Fest? I think it would be safe to assume that we will have some pretty awesome stuff to show you at Warhammer Fest. But you'll have to wait and see. On models, with the advent of AOS, Age of Sigmar, we saw a lot of models disappear. Might the same happen to Warhammer 40,000?
So that's another simple answer one. No. All the factions will be represented, all the models that you can buy now or own will be represented in the new Warhammer 40,000.
Just grab a couple more that are coming in on Facebook at the moment. Will we have points on launch?
More than one set of them.
Two different ways to point your army.
That's right. So we're going to... I can do that one. We've got two, like you said, we've got two different sets of points values. One called power level, that's a bit simpler, which is focused on narrative play, but it's a way of still balancing your army. And it works where you pay a power level point value for each unit. It doesn't really matter what you equip the guys with. It's not particularly granular. What it does is give you a broad brushstroke and allow you to get playing pretty quickly with a good idea that your armies are going to be pretty balanced. So it's perfect for the narrative environment where you just want to make sure you're going to have a fun time.
Yeah. Fun, but still giving you a framework to do that with.
Yeah, but still know that you're not going to have a totally one-sided army or a one-sided game, or anything like that. But then for match play, it goes into full granular mode with you're paying points for the model, you're paying points for the weapon. And everything else that you need to build an army is separate and very granular and done to a very fine detail. So it's two different ways, both focused for the environment that they're designed for.
And I think if you're an event organizer or a tournament organizer, you could pick either.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think you can get a lot of fun with that. Let's see what else we got. Got a question that's cropped up a lot. It's tagged here as from many people. Some specific armies seem to be missing from the factions mentioned on the new Warhammer 40,000 website, such as Militarum Tempestus, the Scutari, Colm Demonton, etc. They're all still here. The Warhammer 40,000 website, on the section that shows the factions, is from a narrative point of view. So the Astra Militarum, that's a listed faction as being, the Imperium of Man's army, and within that, the Militarum Tempestus, they're an offshoot, but at a very top level, because obviously the website is there to help new people as well understand the background and narrative of Warhammer 40,000. They're very much still there. So the word faction on that website doesn't mean codex, doesn't mean army. It means at very top level. How do things fit into the background and the setting of Warhammer 40,000? So just to reiterate again, everything is still there.
Yep. Nothing's going. Nothing's going.
Joshua Wilson wonders, will we see any new factions we haven't seen before? It's exciting, that one, isn't it? New things.
Yes.
Good. New things on the way. And I think for launch.
Yep.
Sam Middleston says, you said vehicles will be affected by damage. What about monsters?
Yeah, exactly the same. Both of them will. The big monsters will also gradiate their stat line down as they take wounds. So they'll still stick around for ages, but as they get wounded, they'll get weaker, or they won't be able to punch as hard or anything.
Lots of fun for like a monster hunt scenario as well.
Yeah, exactly. The guardsmen are trying to shoot it down or something like that. So it's really fun and it's very narrative as you're playing the game. But yes, they work the same way.
With guardsmen and lasguns damaging monsters, we've got a question here. Will bolters be able to damage tanks, for example?
Absolutely. Everything can hurt everything else in the game, but we're really making the stat line work much harder than it's ever done before. So, for example, things like in previous editions, stats have been capped at 10. That is definitely not the case in this edition. No stat is capped at 10. So things have lots of wounds or have good armor saves, which means that they can take damage from small arms fire, but they're going to keep trucking for a long time. But what's interesting about some of the big heavy weapons is that they cause multiple damage, so that's how that's going to be reflected a bit more.
I think the thing that struck me most in the very first game I played was that each weapon sort of felt in the game mechanics how I expected it to, which was super cool. So the first game I played was with my knights, and the weapons they were carrying, you know, their battle cannons, they were great at dealing with big monsters, vehicles, heavily armoured guys, but not so good at thinning out mass ranks, whereas some of their other weapons were much better at that. So I personally think the guys have done a great job with weapons and how damage works.
Right.
What else have we got here? Joe Eddy asks, what sizes of games are supported?
All different sizes. I don't know if we're talking specifically about match play or narrative play. Open play obviously deals with any size. Match play it scales through from around 1,000 points up to much bigger, and they're all comfortably fit within the system. And then narrative play again, really it scales upwards from 1,000 or up to the sky.
Cool. Eric Irwin asks, what model is the highest wound count?
Oh gosh,
Knights are pretty up there, aren't they?
they are. Lord of Skulls is pretty big as well. I don't know. I wouldn't like to say and then be proved wrong later. So there's some big wound counts.
What else do we have? So there was a lot of questions around army selection. I'll run through them quite quickly because I think some of them we've covered. Will there be a recognisable force organisation chart? Yes, absolutely, shed loads. Will there be a detailed point system for models and equipment and so on? Absolutely.
Yep.
Will you pay points for equipment on models, or will it be more free flow like AOS? So if you
Both.
use the granular system, then you'll pay for them, and if you use the power level, it's a bit more like Age of Sigmar. Are allied forces still viable?
So they are. It works slightly different. I think I saw one on your that would come through about Death Stars and things like that. And I guess that a lot of that comes from attaching units, sort of characters from one faction to units from another one, and the things, and then passing on their special rules. So because we've gone to a keyword-driven system, that shouldn't happen anymore. So now if you've got a Space Marine captain and you attach him to or you put him near some Imperial Guard Astra Militarum regiments, because his abilities will be based around the Space Marine keyword, the Adeptus Astartes keyword, his abilities will affect other Adeptus Astartes, which means that his cool abilities won't pass on to an Astra Militarum, and that's reflected throughout all the different factions. Yeah. So really, people who are passing their abilities on to other units will be doing it to other units that they should be doing it to. Yeah. Not just any other unit, and therefore we can be a lot more controlled about what those kind of interactions are and the synergies are.
So there's a lot in what Pete said there, so I'm going to pick apart a little bit. In terms of allies, yes, the force organization charts make it really easy for you to ally in some stuff.
You can have multiple different ones.
Yep. And so you can have a big combined arms force with lots of different stuff in it. Death Star, which is the question we're asked about, will there be Death Stars in the game? That's a very tournament gaming sort of term for a unit which is a singular unit that is so powerful, like Death Star, that it's unkillable and gives out loads of damage. And Death Stars normally come about because of some sort of loophole in the rules that people are exploiting or pushing against, where they take the best combination of things from different things, and when you mush them together, they behave in a way that was never anticipated. So we have things like where Dark Angels lead units of Space Wolves and stuff like that, and stuff that really doesn't fit with the narrative. What the keywords do that Pete mentioned is make sure that that sort of thing isn't viable anymore.
That's right. Yeah. So we can be like much more in control of of those synergies that work when you're using multiple factions.
Thor Thorensen, what a great name. Is close combat going to be viable again?
Absolutely, yeah. It's definitely a big part of the 40k background. We certainly wanted it to still be a big part of the game. So yes, combat should work. It's a big benefit now to being able to, if you charge first, to go first.
Yep.
So combat armies will get a big benefit from that. But yes, it should be just as big a part of the game as shooting is.
Great. What else have we got? Alec Evers asks, will there be benefits to sticking to one faction like we see in Age of Sigmar?
So yes, if you, I don't know if we can go back to my my handy chart here. I can try and choose it. So the smaller detachments add a certain number of command points, but the bigger your detachment. So, for example, the biggest one we've got here at the bottom is the brigade detachment. So that's big. It's quite hard to fulfill it. It'll be a quite big army if you filled all the required boxes. That generates you 9 command points versus 0 for the top one. So that's if you collect all from one faction, you'll be able to satisfy one of these bigger force org charts, which means you'll generate more command points, which means your army will be able to fight more like it's supposed to by utilising some of its stratagems and things like that.
Great. We just got time for a couple more questions. Rory O'Kane asks, there are a few areas, Deliverance, Medusa, etc., that are absent from the new Galaxy map. Was that an oversight, or have we blown them up?
So I don't want to say oversight. I think it's a crowded map. They're not destroyed, which is the important thing, I guess. Here, those places aren't gone. We haven't. We're not writing out the white scars.
Okay. Great. Dylan Murphy asks, Andy, will we finally see the Flesh Tearers take their place as the rightful poster boys for the new edition? Might we see more novels? I'm pretty sure they're already the poster boys. And yes, I am definitely working on some new novels for Black Library. Steve Howe asks, what are you guys most looking forward to? Steve's actually the manager of the Glasgow store, Games Workshop store in Glasgow.
So for me, I'm just really looking forward to seeing people's reaction to the finished thing, because we've worked really hard to try and make the game that everybody wants, and I really want to see if we got it right. So I'm really looking forward to it finally coming out and seeing whether how close we got.
I'm looking forward to being able to play against more people. I am absolutely loving the games of 8th that I get to play. But obviously it's not out in the wide world yet, so I can't go to my local store and get a game or come into Warhammer World and play. So I'm very much looking forward to having lots more armies to play against and more people to play with. We got a question about Forge World. Will Games Workshop and Forge World rules be available in the same place?
So I guess they'll be available in the same way. So yes.
So the last couple of questions. Austin asks, will the Imperial Guard be able to stand up to a stiff breeze?
No, we certainly hope so.
One on background, how much can we expect the storyline to develop over the next few years?
I think quite a lot. I think we're not going to radically change what the 40k background's all about, but we certainly want to have some exciting new developments happen in it. I think there's going to be some right from the off that are going to blow people away, and there'll be more to come after that. I think it's going to be exciting. If you're into the background of Warhammer 40,000, it's going to be great.
Great. So it looks like the questions are starting to slow down now, and we've pretty much covered everything, I think. So don't forget that every day from now on until the new edition of Warhammer 40,000 comes out, there'll be a great article on the Warhammer community site that will shed a bit more light on the game, We've got some interviews with some of the play testers. We've got some guides on building your army for the new edition. So well worth checking out the community site every day. The community team man Facebook constantly. So if you've got any more questions that crop up, then shoot those guys a message on there. And oh yeah, I forgot to mention the other thing we're supposed to talk about before we head off. One of the things that we've read a lot over the weekend was people asking about. I've bought a rule book, or I bought an codex fairly recently, and now obviously it's not going to be the rules aren't going to be valid. You know, what should I do? So we've never been very good at publicising it, but every time we've launched a new game. Our customer service team, who are a great bunch of guys and gals, have sent people vouchers for the value of their rulebook or their codex, as long as they've had proof of purchase within 4 weeks. But we thought that, you know, for this edition, and because it seems so important to so many of you, that we're going to extend that to 8 weeks. So anyone that's bought a rulebook or a codex for 140,000. Within 8 weeks of the announcement on Saturday just there, if you email our customer service team, and you'll find the details for that on Facebook later tonight, or on the Games Workshop website, or on the community site, then those guys will sort you out with some vouchers to the value of the books that you bought, which I think is a pretty stellar offer from those guys. So that's it from us. I think Dan will probably see you out with the 40k video again, and we'll talk to you guys soon.
Thanks for listening.
Thanks.
Imperium will be dust in my hand.
I have faith.
The Fenris system burns.
Close to
The
our
void
hearts,
around the wolves'
praying
homeworld
for an
seethes
afterlife
with
of
warfire.
cold, joyless
The
sanctuary.
house of the wolf is wounded.
We steal life and
Sons
dreams.
to an empire starved. Those of Lehman Russ will face a legion return.
10 millennia ago, I was set a task. One abandoned when the galaxy of a million corpses, not a bastion built from the ashes of a billion worlds, will hold back
Long
the
ago.
A word
We danced the galaxy will burn and the
It will be
gods.
cleansed, purified,
We shall see
ready. The heavens